Yeah, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Stokastic.com NBA strategy show. We're in business, baby. 9-game slate on a Wednesday, midway through the week. Talking a little bit of basketball today. I'm Dave Loughran at Laffy_D, LOUGHY_D, joined by Adam Scherer at Ship My Money DFS. How you feeling this morning, brother?
Pretty good. Can't complain. Looking forward to another basketball slate of stupid shit happening.
That will certainly be the case. Happy to have you guys with us, though. As always, if you haven't done so yet, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment down below. We try and read and respond to all of them. Hopefully no Josh popping in at this point to tell us why. Well, you get the point. Yesterday, what a wild show that was. Ben and I had a incredible time on the Odd Shop as well. If you're still not watching, we're 2 days in over on the Odd Shopper channel, our betting channel. We're breaking everything down 4 to 5 p.m. Eastern, Monday through Friday. And it has been a lot of fun for sure over the first couple of days. We're going to keep it going forever, hopefully, so long as you guys support us. But yeah, hit that thumbs up, subscribe to the channel. Let's talk a little bit of basketball. What do you say we just dive right into this one, man?
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. So today's show, of course, presented by Prize Picks. I'll tell you in a little bit how you get not only $100 first match deposit bonus, but also you're getting yourselves a free month of Stokastic Plus Platinum by doing nothing outside of clicking a link. So we'll get to that in a bit. But let's dive into it. How about Phoenix? 10.5-point favorites. Kevin Durant off the injury report, making his son's debut today against the Charlotte Hornets, who just lost LaMelo Ball for the season. So Phoenix gets somebody back. Charlotte loses him for the year. Last time Durant played was about almost 2 months ago at this rate. So I guess the simplest question for you out of the gate, I don't even want to overthink this right now, is Phoenix had already been a relatively tough team to target heavily once they started getting healthy. What happens now that Kevin Durant is into the mix?
They just become even more difficult to target because especially right now where you have Kevin Durant on a minutes limit. They announced that yesterday. So you have Durant at 10-7 on a minutes limit on a 9-game slate. Like clearly you're just going to ignore that. But he's likely to be out there enough minutes where it's going to make me not really want to pay $8,900 for Devin Booker or $7,900 for Chris Paul or even $8,100 for Ayton. So I think it's mostly a stay away. I mean, it is a really good spot against Charlotte. If I had to go to Phoenix, I think I would go to Ayton first at $8,100. He at least contributes in ways other than as a scorer. Like I'm more concerned. I expect Durant's presence to be a bit of a hindrance for Booker. Since he is a high usage guy, that's going to come down. Paul's still going to get his assists, I would expect. Ayton's still going to get his rebounding and scoring inside. So I think that, Booker, Paul, Ayton still have high ceilings, but Ayton would be the one that I go to first if I have to go to somebody.
Okay. And then aside from that, and plus, I mean, how many minutes do we expect Durant to play coming off a knee injury?
Yeah, I mean, we have him in for 26.5 right now. That
sounds about right.
Yes, this is as good as mine. Like,
yeah,
I basically just don't expect him to play enough minutes that I want him at 10-7. But if he played 24, I wouldn't be surprised. If he played 30, I wouldn't be surprised. But like none of those are going to make me want to get to him on a 9-game slate.
On the other side of this one, though, man, LaMelo done for the year. That didn't even look that bad. Did you see it? Did you see the injury?
Yeah, I saw it because I had him in like every lineup. So I was watching that game.
And he was crushing too.
Yeah, he was doing really well. I thought it was bad. Not that it looked really bad, but like there was no contact or anything. His foot just like kind of stuck and then gave out. So like watching that game, when I saw how he got hurt, I was like, shit, he's done. Like at least for that game. I didn't think he was necessarily done for the year.
Well, now you look at Charlotte and you've got a spot where Terry Rozier becomes very appealing. Dennis Smith Jr. is not exactly cheap. So that's the thing. Like if Dennis Smith Jr. was dirt cheap and they hadn't proactively priced him up, I think we'd be having a very different conversation on somebody like him. But on DraftKings, he's 5,100. I mean, and I understand that his price has been up a little bit lately, but he's up to 5,100. Not to say you can't play him, but I mean, Terry Rozier, clearly the top option, not only from this game, but one of the better options on the slate.
Yeah, Terry Rozier looks really good. You're likely to get 36 plus minutes from him if this game's competitive. 7,200 is more or less the same price tag you typically get from Terry Rozier, even when LaMelo Ball is in, and he's, a decent play in those circumstances. So pretty clearly underpriced here. 32% projected ownership on DraftKings, 21% chance of being optimal. So it's a situation where, like, yeah, he's going over owned, but you do still have somebody with a 20+% chance of being in the optimal lineup on a 9-game slate. That's not something that you really, can ignore. Dennis Smith Jr. at 5,100, I think, is fine. He's pulling the second most ownership behind Rozier. No issues with him. I expect him to play around 30 minutes probably. And he's not a bad point per minute guy. But like you said, he is at least priced up a little bit. It's not like you're walking into like a $3,600 Dennis Smith Jr. or something. Gordon Hayward's going to look a little bit better at 6,400. So I think in that order, Rozier, Smith, Hayward is sort of how I view these guys.
And then outside of that, it's pretty much just a wasteland, right?
Yeah, I mean, outside of that, you have Mark Williams, who is likely to play 28 to 30 minutes if he avoids foul trouble. He gives you a very high ceiling, but center on a 9-game slate, he's just another guy.
Looking at Chicago and Detroit, here's another one where you get Chicago. DeMar DeRozan's price still remains pretty affordable in a spot like this. They come into Detroit, who's still down like their front court, 6-point favorites, 224 total. So nothing overwhelming here as far as the total goes, but DeRozan coming off a brutal game last time out. Isn't to say that he can't pick it back up. We've seen, the trio of Vooch and Levine and DeRozan kind of trade blows when it comes to best performances week to week or day to day. But do you think 17% DeRozan makes sense today, which is where we've got him right now? It seems a little high, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe a little bit, but we also have him with a 16% chance of being optimal, 26%, or sorry, 22% boom percentage. I think it's, the small forward, power forward eligibility is nice. The price tag's cheap. The matchup's good. You always just sort of have difficulty filling those forward spots. You never run out of guards that you like. You never run out of centers that you like. It's typically more of an issue to find, high upside forward options, and getting him right around 8K is certainly a good price point. So I think the ownership makes sense, maybe a little bit high, but nothing too crazy.
Is there anybody you want to talk about then? Because there's some teams that we're going to spend a good amount of time on today. And of course, when you guys watch the deeper dive live before lock and all that good stuff, but from Chicago, like Kobe White, Caruso, these guys are all cheap. They're pulling a little bit of ownership, but really just because they're very cheap.
Yeah, there's nothing else that stands out here. It goes without saying, you can always play Nikola Vucevic. You can always play Zach LaVine in tournaments. Those guys give you high ceilings, but in Vucevic's case, he's a center. So that right there tells you he's probably not going to be a priority. Zach LaVine has the best positional eligibility you can have, but he's pretty much correctly priced at 8,600. So you're never upset about getting to those guys, but nothing's going to stand out. I think you mentioned, Alex Caruso's 3,400. If you just need like a random $3,400 guy that could walk into a decent game, Caruso is an option, but it's not like you're going out of your way to, start your lineups or to actively be putting Alex Caruso in lineups.
Detroit though, man, Bogdanovich is expected to play, so they get him back, but Isaiah Stewart's out. Jalen Duren is out. Isaiah Livers is out or doubtful. You're missing a decent amount of bodies on this team right now. And I think just looking at it, and who do we target in the front court, first of all, that's going to be worthwhile at their price?
Yeah, I mean, the front court is what still stands out because you're getting Bogdanovich back. You're also getting Jaden Ivey back. So right. You're getting two very high usage guys back. You're also getting, two guards / wings that are going to come back and soak up minutes. But in the front court, still no Duren and still no Stewart. So you have a lot of minutes, or you have, 48 minutes available for Wiseman and Bagley. The price tag on both of them came up a bit, but James Wiseman with power forward eligibility is still going to look good at 4,800. Bagley at 4,900, I think, is a little bit more difficult to get to just because he's center only. And then you get Amadou Diallo at 38% ownership. That seems kind of insane to me. I think he's a decent play. I don't think he's 38% decent.
Yeah, I mean, the injuries. This is what I wanted to ask you, because I'm looking at ownership here and I'm just looking at, where the sidelines players are going to be. Bogdanovich expected back. You already mentioned that Ivy is back. They were missing like the entire starting lineup last game. So should we be looking more towards like a Wiseman at 9%? I mean, Are there any, like, when it comes to the front court specifically, is there anyone that really stands out? Because from an ownership perspective, we don't have anybody that's that popular in the front court. And maybe that's because Bagley's back now and they have Wiseman and they still have a few bodies.
Yeah, I mean, I think the power forward eligibility on Wiseman makes him still look good. Played 26.5 minutes last game, played a couple minutes alongside Bagley, who played 24.5. You could certainly see that again here potentially. But if you get, 26, 27 minutes from Wiseman at 4,800 with power forward eligibility, I like getting there. I think 5,600 for Jaden Ivey looks good. 5,300 for Hayes looks fine. Diallo and Burks right now are just projected to pull the most ownership, and I think they're okay. I just don't totally get why they're getting that much ownership, especially Diallo. If he starts, then sure, but I'm not expecting him to start. Like, typically they don't start him unless they have to. They don't have to today. The starting lineup is going to be Hayes, Ivy, Bogdanovich, I assume Wiseman, and then one of Diallo, Burks, Magruder. I assume it's not going to be Diallo. And if it's not Diallo, I don't know why $4,600 Diallo is getting 38% ownership.
What about the Bagley production lately, though? We have him at 3% right now. He's sub 5K. Understandably, he's not the most exciting option, but he did close last game out over Magruder alongside Wiseman, Killian Hayes, Diallo, and Joseph. Of course, again, I know that players were out of that game. I get that, but he has looked really good, and the usage in the minutes that he's getting recently has been extraordinarily high.
Yeah, it's just a matter of, how many minutes is he going to play, and he's center only. There's a ceiling for him, but that's the case for a million centers on this slate. Played a couple minutes alongside Wiseman last game. But if you get like 24 minutes from Bagley at 4,900, that's not something I'm really going to be prioritizing. Yeah. It's something that, certainly like you can get a good game from him. He's a good point per minute guy, but it's really the center eligibility. Like, if you flipped positions and you made Bagley power forward center and you made Wiseman a center, I would like Bagley more. But the power forward eligibility is what really pushes Wiseman ahead of Bagley for me.
It is interesting though. Bagley's closed back-to-back games. So
yeah, the game before that though, Wiseman fouled out.
Oh, did he? Yeah, you're right. And Bagley came in for him. Yeah, you're right. Good call. All right. Anybody else for Detroit?
Nope.
Hit that thumbs up too. We got over 300 people watching this wonderful morning. We also got a $50 super chat. All right. William, appreciate you, man. William Collins, top 5 finish on FanDuel singles and other contests across the board on day 2 of using the tools. Cruncher, lineup generator. I told you guys, lineup generator coming through in the clutch. Link is down in the description. Half off for the first week. It's less than $4.50 for the first week on the lineup generator. If you're playing $2 a day, it's worth checking it out. That's what, 75 cents a day or something like that. That's awesome though, man. Lineup generator, projections. Yeah, I love hearing that, dude. Awesome. And thank you. Appreciate you guys for the analytics. The done fade info from the deeper dive was clutch. Contrarian for the win. It's funny, man. You get the deeper dive live before lock strategy show. Use that in conjunction with the tools, and you're in business. I think I said it yesterday too, but lineup generators half off first week, less than $4.50. But all of our packages, every subscription we have, if you've, like I said, already signed up at Prize Picks and gotten the free month, or you can't play a Prize Picks, or you're looking for a way to get in at a discount, everything we have is half off for the first time you're doing it. Like, you want to go a month, all of our tools, every sport, that's half off, 50%. You want to go for a week, one sport, NBA or every sport, that's half off, 50%. If you got to use the link, because then we can track it and then we can actually credit you with it. It's in the description, and Jacob can throw them in the chat as well. But yeah, dude, 50% off everything on the site. Be like William, take down all these top 5 finishes and then super chat us $50. No, you don't have to do that, but we would absolutely love to see you guys come over and win. 50% off everything for the first week. Literally no matter what subscription you choose, 50% off, and also 50% off the lineup generator. But the lineup generator comes in most of those subs. If you just wanted to say, I'd like all of our tools, ownership, projections, boom, bust tool, player projections, all the projected stats, all of our other tools, lineup generator, lineup builder, fantasy cruncher add-on, you name it. So check it out. Link down there, 50% off everything. Congrats again, William. That's awesome. Love to see it and appreciate you. All right, Cleveland, Boston. Here's a fun one. 219 total. Cleveland Cavs. 5.5-point dogs on the road, Adam. So if you're looking at Cleveland right now, early in the day, is there anything you look at and go, yeah, man, I'd like to get a lot of that guy tonight?
No, it's kind of just status quo with Cleveland, where you have the four pieces that are all high upside plays with Allen, Garland, Mobley, Mitchell, but they're all correctly priced because right now this team is essentially healthy. All four of those guys are in. So there's nothing that's really going to stand out. 7K for Jared Allen. He's pulling the most ownership at 7%, 3% coming into Garland, Mobley, 2% to Mitchell. So nothing that stands out at all. They're all perfectly fine in tournaments, here and there just because of the ceilings that they offer, but not a great matchup, not any mispriced guys. So nothing that stands out.
What about on the Boston side?
There's
not a lot there either.
What?
There's not a lot on the Boston side either.
Yeah, I mean, tough matchup for them as well. This is just one of those, like, should be a good NBA game to watch, but kind of sucks from a fantasy standpoint. Jason Tatum at 10-6, assuming Brown is back, isn't going to look very appealing, and Brown's not on the injury report, so I assume he's back. Nothing really from this game that I like outside of just the obvious, like, if you get to Tatum, Brown, Mitchell, Garland, like, that's fine, but you're not getting to a lot of them.
And obviously things can change with injuries and stuff like that, but right now, 10-18 on the East Coast in the morning on a Wednesday, there's not a lot to talk about here, but that's fine. We're not going to, you can find any show you want that can give you, they can tell you that every player, Adam and I know people like this, every player from every game is viable. It doesn't do you any good. It doesn't help at all. So let's talk about Philly and Miami. Jimmy Butler, great game last time out, taking that road win against the Sixers. Doc Rivers has got to go. This team, man, this fucking team, I'll tell you, drives me up a wall. But that's besides the point. Let's start with Joel Embiid because the rest of this team looks pretty ugly. Tobias Harris stinks. Tyrese Maxey decides some days he feels like playing and others he doesn't. But Joel Embiid, outside of last game against this same Miami team, has been dominant. They just, like, I hate to be this guy, but Miami has always found ways to really slow him down. Maybe it's just variance. Maybe it's whatever. But do we go back to Joel Embiid today at 11-2?
Yeah, I mean, you can always go back to Embiid. It's obviously not a great matchup against Miami, but yeah, Embiid, if you get there, great. The opportunity cost is high at center because there's just so many good ones. But despite the difficult matchup, 11-2 for Embiid, certainly a spot you can get to.
What about the rest of Philly, though?
Not really. I mean, Harden at 10-3, that's fine. Melton's the only other guy pulling like any ownership, and I don't really like that. I mean, like, you're probably getting low to mid 20s from him at 3,700, shooting guard, small forward, but not like he's a very good point per minute guy when he's playing with Embiid, Harden, Maxey, Harris. So as more value opens up throughout the day, he'll probably end up not being a thing.
On the other side, you've got Miami. Par for the course here. Kyle Lowry remains out. And then aside from that, there's really not much going on. You have Max Strus, I think, questionable for this one. And that's it. So digging in a little bit here on this Miami side, we currently, get this, right? Currently, we have nobody on this team from top to bottom. We have nobody projected for more than 1% ownership on the entire Miami Heat squad. Pretty healthy team outside of Kyle Lowry, who doesn't really make a noticeable difference anyway. And even as far as optimal percentage goes, if you're looking at our boom bust tool, if you're looking at leverage, the highest optimal lineup percentage is Tyler Hero at 3%, and he's getting 1% ownership.
Yeah, it's just very similar to what we saw the other day. The difference is that this is a 10 or a 9-game slate, not a 4-game slate. So like when we talked about it the other day, it was sort of just, there's a good chance that one of Hero, Bam, Love, Butler has a good game. Which one it's going to be is, your guess is as good as mine. But on the 4-gamer, that was really appealing because they were kind of the only team that had good fantasy players that were getting low ownership. On a 9-gamer, there's no shortage of good players that are getting low ownership. You have all of Cleveland. You have the Phoenix guys. You have the Bulls outside of DeRozan. Like, all of those guys are just good fantasy options that aren't getting ownership. And so you just kind of add these Miami guys to that group. Hero, Butler, Bam, all capable certainly of having big games at no ownership. They're reasonable ways to be different, but they're just in a bucket with a bunch of other guys on this slate.
Yeah, there's a bunch of teams that are just ugly today.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, it is pretty remarkable that with 9 games, I mean, sure, you get spots like this where you're talking about specific spots and you go, all right, well, yeah, you have 9 games, plenty of teams on the slate, but a lot of ownership is concentrated between a bunch of a handful of teams, and we still have spots to get to, like Lakers, OKC, no LeBron, Russell's doubtful, SGA remains out. I'm sure people are stoked on some of these OKC players recently. There are some spots that we're going to talk about for sure. New Orleans has a bunch of questionable players too. That could loom large today if Joe Val ends up sitting. Larry Nance is already out. But let's talk about Brooklyn first against the New York Knicks. Before we do, though, today's show presented by Prize Picks. I already told you guys, right? Like, you wanted 50% off. You can't play on Prize Picks. You already signed up on Prize Picks. Maybe you're just looking to get back in the door, so you go 50% off. Smart way to do it, right? Obviously, makes sense. If you haven't signed up at Prize Picks and you can, though, you're getting an entire month of all of our tools entirely free. Because when we partner with Prize Picks, we said, all right, you guys got the $100 deposit bonus up to 100% up to $100, which means if I go over there and I deposit, I sign up using the link in the description. Otherwise, how the hell are we going to track you? Or the one in chat. And I put $100 in. My account balance says 200. If I put 50 in, my account balance says 100. You go over to Prize Picks, you start playing, you build some lineups. You use Josh Engelman's video that he's putting out on OddsShopper every day. You build some 5-pick flex plays. You hit all 5, you 10x. You hit 4, unlike a traditional book, you still 2x and make double your money. Shit, I could have used that on No House Advantage the last 3 days where I went 4 of 5, 3 straight days. 3 straight days. I could have used that 2x. But yeah, you picking props, a million different sports to choose from. No matter how you want to do it, there's no juice, just over or under. You use all of our tools over on Stokastic because they're free when you sign up using the link for your first month, full calendar month, including the Discord, including the lineup generator, lineup builder, ownership, boom bust tool, top stacks tool for all of the other sports. And I'm not just talking basketball. Every single sport is available for the full month, $120 value. So if Prize Picks is in your state available and you haven't signed up there yet, take advantage of it, man. And use our free videos to make the right plays, right? Use our tools that you're getting for free to make the right decisions. Start winning some money over there. It's an awesome way to sustain your bankroll and also give yourself a shot to hit huge 10x, 25x if you go 6 for 6. Prize Picks, sponsor of the Strategy Show. Check it out. Links in the description and in chat. Get the 100. If you have the 100, deposit the 100, get the full bonus. But even if you have 50, whatever, 10, you're still getting 100% on that. And you're getting all of our tools, $120 value free. So essentially, if you deposit 100, that's $220 to you that you didn't have yesterday. Plus, we want you to stick around and win some money so you hang with us for a long time over at Stokastic. All right, let's talk about Brooklyn. Brooklyn Nets are, Nick Claxton. Ben Simmons is out. Claxton played 31 minutes last night. They are in the second game of a back-to-back. Not the greatest or worst matchup. Do you want to start with Claxton, or is there somebody else in Brooklyn that appeals to you more?
No, I think Claxton's the starting point here. He's the only guy really pulling ownership. He has a 15% chance of being optimal on DraftKings. Just looks good. He's a high upside, good point per minute guy. Not a good matchup against the Knicks. It feels like we have a lot of teams in kind of mediocre matchups here, but yeah, I like getting the Claxton here, 6,400. It is a spot where there are comparable centers that you can use as pivots. For example, Mark Williams getting basically no ownership at the same price point. I think they are pretty comparable plays, but Claxton does project a little bit better, so you are seeing more ownership come in there.
Is this the only spot? Or like Johnson, DFS, Dinwiddie? It's pretty ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it's the only spot that I think projects well, but we talked about it yesterday, and Cam Johnson, Spencer Dinwiddie, Mikal Bridges, Cam Thomas. I just expect, at least until we get a larger sample size and you can really point to, if there is a true like alpha scorer here, I expect that you just sort of see big games here and there from any of these guys. I don't think that they have one true like number one scoring guy. So you're just going to see some games where Bridges is the hot hand. You're going to see some games where Dinwiddie takes over. So it does sort of give them appeal in large field tournaments just because there's a lot of volatility. But when you look at the projection, when you look at their median projections versus salary, nothing's really going to stand out. Cameron Johnson, probably the most appealing of that group at 5,300. But it's just, I do sort of like the volatility that comes with this team right now because you just have a bunch of like 3-and-D guys and then, a ball handler and Spencer Dinwiddie that is, better served as like a 2 or 3 option. So I think game to game, you're just going to see somebody needs to score, but I think game to game, you're going to see it sort of like vary by who it is.
These are two teams that are not playing at a fast pace either. Like since the All-Star break, you've got Brooklyn playing at a bottom 6 pace. They're 24th in defensive rating over that stretch, but Knicks, 96 pace. They're 25th. So 5th slowest or 6th slowest, Brooklyn 7th slowest over that stretch. You always have options here. Randall's not exorbitantly priced. He's 9,500 on DraftKings. Jalen Brunson's 8,600. Just looking at ownership, looking at the boom bust tool as well. If you were to pull this up and see where these guys rank as far as leverage goes and optimal, it all basically is 100% in line with their ownership. Nobody pops off the page. Nobody has big leverage scores. Nobody has like massive optimal scores. Nobody even above 9% today. Randall's at 9.6, and that's the highest by a mile on this team.
Yeah, just a pretty much correctly priced team. Julius Randle, Jalen Brunson, I think would be the first 2 guys I get to, and that shouldn't be surprising because they're both really good. But just pretty much correct price tags. You could probably argue Randall's a little bit underpriced at 9,500, but nothing crazy. So they both look good, but they're both just sort of secondary options. Mitchell Robinson in tournaments, I think makes some sense at only 4% owned. You're seeing you got 32 minutes from him last game. The game before that, he played 28, would have played about 31 or 32 had there not been garbage time. So you're seeing the minutes still be there for him. He does give you plenty of upside in tournaments because of his blocking ability. It's always nice getting that volatility at low ownership. So I do think he's sort of an interesting tournament play, but Randall and Brunson would be the first 2 I get to.
We're cruising through some of these games, dude. There's not a lot.
Not a lot to talk about.
All right. Well, maybe there will be for the Lakers today. So second of a back-to-back. We know LeBron is out for an extended period of time. Russell was ruled out yesterday. And then they're considering him doubtful for today already. So the likelihood that he plays is also pretty low in this one. I'll tell you what, though, some really underwhelming performances yesterday. Look, it was against Memphis, first of all, not exactly a pushover type team, but Beasley still played 32 minutes. Shocking that he only attempted 8 field goals. That truly shocking. Vanderbilt being another one that let a lot of people down, still played 29 minutes in the game, though, was just wildly underwhelming himself. Anthony Davis had a great game. The massive amount of blocks and almost 20 rebounds didn't hurt his case either. But I understand that a lot of these guys were disappointing yesterday. Schroeder played 32 minutes, failed to eclipse 30 fantasy points, but they're still playing close to or upwards of 30 minutes. And you're still getting them at pretty cheap prices against the Oklahoma City Thunder in a game with a, near 230 total, no LeBron and likely no D'Angelo Russell.
Yeah, it's still a spot that, a team that I want to go back to. This is a team pulling a ton of ownership, very different than most of the teams we've talked about so far. Anthony Davis at 10-2 looks fantastic. Center only, but still just a really cheap price tag for him. Playing without LeBron, he's about a 1.5 fantasy point per minute guy. Played 35 minutes yesterday. I expect similar playing time today. So he looks great. And then you've just got still pretty cheap pricing on Beasley, Vanderbilt, Schroeder. It came up a little bit. Schroeder went from 4,900 yesterday on DraftKings to 54. Vanderbilt went from 41 to 49. So it does make them a little bit riskier, but you're still just getting a lot of minutes here. Beasley, like you said, played about 31.5 minutes. Vanderbilt played about 28.5. Disappointing games, but still pretty cheap price tags for that amount of playing time. Dennis Schroeder at 5,400, 7 games without LeBron and with Davis this year, 0.84 DraftKings points per minute, 19.5% usage rate. You could see that usage rate come up a bit since there's also no Westbrook and we assume no Russell. But just, Beasley, Vanderbilt, Schroeder, they're all they're all kind of scary and they all are projected to go a bit over owned. But, we've seen as we talk through the slate, there's not right now, at least a ton of value to be had. So that's why you're seeing so much ownership come in here. And they do project right now as some of the best value options. And then Davis, of course, one of the best pay up options.
Do you think there's any viability? And I just want to run through all of this since we've seen one game without LeBron and Russell, and it's likely going to be the same thing today, assuming Russell's out. Do you think there's any viability in like a virtually unowned Austin Reeves played 27 minutes off the bench? The assist, I was trying to look up his potential assist yesterday, was interested in that, but they're not populated yet. So we don't have that, but he had 17 points, 7 assists. Of course, only 8 field goal attempts though. So you're still talking about low volume of shooting, not particularly high usage. Just wanted to throw it out there because he was one of those guys that did get significant minutes.
Yeah, and there's a good chance Austin Reeves finds his way into the closing lineup again. He does that, pretty frequently. Closed the first half over Troy Brown. He was in the closing lineup in the second half, initially over Brown, then over Schroeder. But he's pretty likely to end up closing and getting, to like 27, 28 minutes. He's not a very good point per minute guy, but what stands out to me with the Lakers is like you're getting all that ownership coming into Beasley, Vanderbilt in particular. And again, I think they're good values, but I don't think that they're 50 to 60% owned good values. But then you look at the other cheap guys where there's sort of question marks about the Lakers rotation. Austin Reeves at 3,800 pulling 1% ownership. If he's going to be 1% owned and, Vanderbilt at 4,900 is going to be 58.
Yeah.
I like Vanderbilt, don't get me wrong, but that's a spot that you can go to. The same can be said for Lonnie Walker.
Walker's
Rui.
3%. Yeah, Walker's 3.5%.
Yeah, Walker, Rui, Troy Brown. They're not the most exciting players, and they don't have guaranteed minutes. But Lonnie Walker played 22 and a half minutes yesterday. Like 30 seconds of that was garbage time, so call it 22. If he plays well, maybe he plays a little bit more. Rui played about 20 minutes. If he plays well, maybe he plays a little bit more. Troy Brown played 26. He kind of never plays well, but he's getting no ownership at 3,600. Any of these guys can, at the very, very low ownership, can certainly be very good differentiation plays, especially if other good value doesn't open up today.
What makes the Lakers fun today or interesting, I should say, it probably won't be fun, but is the fact that you have so much of the ownership concentrated between a few players, like you mentioned, but it doesn't mean the rest of this team isn't viable. Like just as far as tournaments go, you could make a case for probably, 7 different players on this team.
I think I can make a case for 8.
If you're including Troy Brown.
Yeah.
Yeah. So 8. It says a lot about the absence of LeBron and likely D'Angelo Russell as well. Of course, stay tuned for that news. But yeah, really interesting spot, especially going up against the Thunder. I mean, Thunder have no SGA. He's already out for this one. So another Lou Dort game is going to come into effect. Josh Giddey is still going to be popular at that mid 7K price point. I think he's rubbed some people the wrong way over these past couple games without SGA, man.
Yeah, I got that impression in chat. I have no idea what he did yesterday. I didn't pay attention, but
you have what?
I didn't pay attention to what he did yesterday, but I'm assuming it wasn't good. 8
points, 6 boards, 5, 24 fantasy points in. Ready for this? 19 minutes.
Nice. Yeah, I just pulled up the box score from that game. 19 minutes, certainly not what you expect. Nobody on Oklahoma City other than Jalen Williams played north of 29 minutes yesterday. So
can I just say real quick that Giddey was actually good. He just
on a point per minute basis. Yeah.
He only played 19 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of what you run into with OKC. You're not going to project Giddey for 20 minutes today. You're still going to go to 28 to 30, and he's going to look like a good option at 7,600, but you just run the risk of OKC doing weird shit with their rotation. Same goes for Lou Dort at 5,100. I like the ceiling he offers. You get a bump in usage without Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. He should play 30 to 32 minutes, but who the hell knows? Isaiah Joe at 4,500. I'd said yesterday he really scared me, but projected well. Kind of the same thing today. He's going to project well. You just really have no idea how many minutes he's going to play. You got 22 minutes from him yesterday. The game before that, he started the game, didn't start the second half, still got to 27 or 28 minutes. The game before that, he played, I think, 36. So the playing time is sort of just all over the place for him. But there are opportunities there for him at 4,500. So he's pulling 13% ownership. You have ownership coming into Wiggins and Kenrich Williams, which just speaks to how little value there is on the slate right now. I hate the idea of playing either of those guys, but at the same time, they project reasonably well for their salaries in the context of the slate.
You know, it's weird too. Because who just posted this? Jake said Giddey had 3,000 the first 5 minutes of the game. He did, but didn't he finish with 3 fouls? Yeah, so he had 3. I'm looking at the game flow now. He had 3 fouls in the first 6 minutes of the game, but then he returned a couple minutes into the second quarter, had a 6-minute stint, sat out for the remaining 3.5 minutes, and then starts the third, plays 4.5 minutes, no fouls, but starts the third, plays 4.5 minutes. That's it. Returns for a 3-minute stint in the fourth and didn't close. So I don't know. I think it points to what you've always said all season about OKC. It's like, it's so difficult to project what the playing time is going to look like from night to night.
Yeah, you kind of just have to you just have to kind of accept there's a lot of volatility. I think in general in spots like that, like when they're popular, it's a team where they're even I don't really know how to word it. Like there's just more volatility. So like when they're popular, they're even less appealing than, you know, a normal team would be at high ownership. When they're not popular, they're, you know, more interesting to go to because there's just so much volatility around the median projections. But so like that's the concern here is, you know, you're getting 23% ownership to Giddey, 29 to Dort, 13 to Joe, but it is a good spot. They do have pretty reasonable price tags and still no SGA. So I mean, I'm going back to them tonight and just hoping for the best, but you just can't feel very confident in it.
Anybody else you want to hit on for OKC? You want to keep this one moving?
No, I think that's it.
All right, let's do it. Next up. Oh, and by the way, hit that thumbs up. Are we at 100 yet? All right. Appreciate you guys. 106 likes. Got over 500 people watching with us on this wonderful Wednesday morning. Got a little treat for you guys coming up after this game as well. So stay tuned. Orlando, 8.5-point dogs against the Bucks, 224.5 total. Let's dive into the to the Orlando side of this one first. So just looking at the boom bust tool, you can sort by teams too if you guys are interested, you know, doing that, position teams, just to get an idea of how everybody looks. We have nobody on Orlando north of 2% ownership, no one north of 4% optimal. Is this is such an odd slate. There's like 3 teams right now that are getting all of the ownership on the entire slate.
Yeah, it's pretty wild, but like I don't have interest getting to Orlando here. Brutal spot going against Milwaukee. Nothing stands out really price wise. You know, Fultz and Franz Wagner at 6,200, whatever. Mo Wagner, $3,300 backup center. Don't think you really need to go there on a slate of this size. Banchero at 7,300 is a reasonable price, but there's just other things to get to on this slate. I have basically no interest in Orlando.
Talk to me a little bit about the Bucks here.
I have basically no interest in Milwaukee. Giannis, that 12-3, sure. Like he's obviously always going to be a good play, but he is expensive. You know, he's $2,100 more than Anthony Davis playing without LeBron. So right there, you could ownership's going to go to Davis, and we don't have a ton of value right now either. So it makes it tough to, advocate really prioritizing Giannis, but he is projected to go a little bit under owned, 7.5% ownership, 10% chance of being optimal, 20% boom percentage. So clearly if you can get to him, great, but not a priority for me here. Drew Holiday's priced up. There's not really anything for me outside of Giannis.
Can you talk just a little bit from a strategic standpoint, from a game theory perspective? I'm sure people would like to know the answer to this as well. And there's nobody better than you to explain it. Like when you have slates like this, are you just okay concentrating all of your offense or all of your exposure around these really popular teams? Do you look to get a little bit different? If let's just say the slate ends, let's just say it locks and we're getting the same type of numbers we are right now, as far as like 3 or 4 teams getting massive ownership and every other team getting nothing.
So I think it's important to keep in mind that you should worry more about the ownership in your lineup than the ownership of individual players. Normally on a slate, like I would expect if I'm playing 150 lineups on a slate like this, I expect that my highest owned players are for the most part, these chalky guys, at least the ones that, I've said I liked, I don't necessarily think like Amadou Diallo would be, but within individual lineups, like it's very, very easy still to differentiate on a slate like this because you have so many high upside guys projected for like 5% or less ownership. So within individual lineups, I'll probably just have, 5 or 6 of these chalky guys, 1, 2 or 3 of these low owned guys. So like, if you look at my total exposures, it would look like I played really, really chalky and followed the field. But if you look at individual lineups, I'm not going to have any difficulty making contrarian lineups.
Okay. Let's keep it moving here. Jacob, I'm going to push that to after this game. Okay. Thanks. Memphis -10 against Houston, 230. Silas did say he expects to see Kevin Porter back today for whatever that's worth, but we could kick it off with this Memphis side. They're also playing their second of a back-to-back, this one on the road against the Houston Rockets. But Ja Morant, he's fallen below 10K today on DraftKings, 20% right now going to him. The rest of Memphis looks largely unappealing, especially with the amount of guys that can enter this rotation from night to night. But talk to me a little bit about Ja.
Yeah, I mean, so we need to certainly keep an eye on the Memphis injury report when it comes out, because they do have a tendency to do annoying things on back-to-backs, and they are playing Houston. But that's assuming for now that everybody's in, Ja certainly looks really good at 9,900, coming off of a massive game last night. Now gets to go up against Houston in a phenomenal spot. I really, really like getting to Ja. He's looks fantastic. Outside of that, pretty much just a tournament team. Jaren Jackson, Dylan Brooks, Desmond Bane, these guys all have nice ceilings, but they also all are pretty much correctly priced. So assuming everybody's in, Ja's the priority. The other 3 guys are fine. If you start getting, players ruled out, then obviously things change. But, if Ja were to sit, Tyus Jones immediately becomes the best play on the slate. If any of Ja, Jackson, or Bane sit, Dylan Brooks becomes a really good play because he really just needs one of those guys to sit for him to get more shots. So there is the potential that a lot of stuff opens up for Memphis here.
Okay. But as of now, it's looking like mostly Ja Morant, assuming he's active.
Yeah.
On the Houston side, hey, Tari Eason. Yeah. Let's start it with him. He's very popular today. He's also very cheap. 28, 31 minutes over the last 2 games. Yesterday in that loss to Denver, he played 31 minutes as well. Not exactly a high volume shooter, but on a per minute basis, he continues to be pretty impressive. Is the ownership right now something that scares you off of Eason, or do you go back there, or not even go back? Do you go to him at a pretty discounted price point?
Yeah, I mean, the ownership's scary just because I kind of have no idea how many minutes he's going to play. You got 31 minutes from him yesterday, but that was a non-competitive game where he played the entire fourth quarter. He played the final 18 minutes of the game. In the first half, he played about 13 minutes. If you're going to get, 25, 26 minutes from Eason at 4,100, he is going to look good. Small forward eligibility is nice as well. I had mentioned yesterday, but you have seen him playing a bit more alongside Jabari Smith and with Shane Yoon. So that's good. Earlier in the year, you were kind of just getting 48 minutes combined between Smith and Eason. But without Eric Gordon, you are getting more minutes at the 3. So that's, good to see. It opens up minutes for him. I think he's a good play. I think that, again, it's a situation where he's going a little bit over-owned just because we are starved for value, but he's a good point per minute guy. He's got multiple ways to get there as well. Like if this game blows out, he's probably playing additional minutes. If this game is competitive, he's probably still playing enough minutes to be good at 4,100.
What do we do with the rest of Houston, especially with Kevin Porter Jr. expected to return?
Ignore them mostly. Assuming that Kevin Porter Jr. is back, I'm not expecting to go to him. I have a difficult time getting to a $7,800 Şengün here. KJ Martin and Jabari Smith are correctly priced. We should have Jae'Sean Tate back as well. So I don't think there's anything that really stands out here outside of Tari Eason.
All right. So guess what, man?
What?
Guess what?
What?
Manscaped sent me a bunch of stuff, sent you a bunch of stuff too. Okay.
They did.
And I got these huge boxes of stuff, and I go, I'm not sure if I'm going to use this because, you hear this Manscaped ads, Manscaped reads are as prevalent on podcasts as STDs are at the strip clubs that you frequent. Okay. And I'm like, I don't know. So, but I see it. I'm like, oh my God, wait. They got trimmers that I don't have to adjust the guard, or I don't have to change the guard. I just flip a dial and I adjust it the way I want. It's a beautiful thing. I shaved my face today. Beautiful shave. So I said, I actually understand why they're everywhere, because I'm using, dude, I shaved my balls this morning. And usually you go into something like that, you're very worried. Okay. You go in, especially when you're holding it up and you're going shaft down, trying to get the strays, right? Let me show you how good this looks. Let me give you a peek at how good this looks. You can't see a single hair. Can't see a single hair. I'll tell you what, usually I go into this and I go, I'm terrified. When you shave your balls, okay, you go into it, generally speaking, holding wiener up, right? And you go, at the end of this, I'm going to go into it and I'm going to add 3 inches, right? We all know that. But sometimes you don't want it to be 3 bloody inches. So you go real carefully. You try and slide into it. I came in with the man. I'm no joke, dude. I did this morning out of the shower. I come before the shower, actually, because you clean the mess up, but there was no mess. I come in and I'm like, all right, I'm going to try and be a little conservative here. I don't want to go crazy. After a couple seconds, dude, I'm ripping through this like I'm mowing the lawn. I'm telling you, dude, it was incredible. Then I took the spritzer, spritzed it up, took the lotion, patted it on each nut. I'm sitting. Did you try the spritzer and the lotion?
Yeah, it's fantastic.
It's
my
incredible.
Balls feel and smell amazing.
No joke. No joke. This is why now I get it. Now I get why people use this. You got the clippers for the beard. You got all of that good stuff. Adjustable guard. You don't have to change it on your own. You don't have to flip them out and find them. Shave your nuts without ever worrying about just straight artery blow to the wall and there's blood everywhere. Nothing. Use the promo code Stokastic at manscaped.com. You're getting 20% off. You're getting free shipping. Listen, you try it. Shave your nuts. Send me a picture on Twitter. Let me know how it works for you. Don't do that. Don't do it. Hell, this show's probably already demonetized. This show probably, after all of that, it's probably getting pulled from YouTube. But manscaped.com, 20% off. 20% off everything with free shipping. I swear to God, dude, I hate doing reads where I don't believe in something. I tell Adam and Josh that and Jordan that all the time. It's bullshit. All right. I hate that stuff because then you have to feign interest in something. And then I have to go to these people and go, I don't want to do this read. The face, the balls, granted, 2 different razors. I'm not going to lie. There have been times before where I've cleaned one up and hit balls and then face, but I don't have to do that anymore. All right. Manscaped.com, 20% off. Use the promo code Stokastic, Stokastic. The only word of advice that I would give you guys, okay, the only word of wisdom, these are good blades, all right, and good trimmers. If you're keeping it like my length, you go to a higher level first, because when I first did it, it was shorter than what I normally do. So like I went to a 3. It felt like a 1 that I would use everywhere else. So if you usually are at like a 4, bring it up at like real high, just so you know what you're comfortable with when you use this. Let me know what you think. 20% off, promo code Stokastic, Stokastic, over at manscaped.com. How do your balls feel, dude? Nice and spritzy? Clean?
Yeah, feel great.
Yeah, feel great. I'm telling you, dude. I thought I'd never use this. And then I hit my boys up. I was like, yo, Manscaped sent me this wild package with everything in it. And he's like, did you get the ball cream? I go, yeah. He goes, I use it every day.
Yeah.
Like, all right. All right.
The day we got it, Josh got his before I picked up mine. And we got on to do the show. And he's just like, I really wish I could just explain to everybody how good my balls feel right now.
Well, I just did. They feel great. Clean shaven, shaft added an extra 3 inches. And so
you're up to 4?
Yeah, well, 4.5. Yeah. wait. Flaccid or hard?
Hard, obviously.
Check it out. Stokastic is the promo code STOKSTIC, 20% off plus free shipping. I promise you guys, this shit is no joke. No wonder it's everywhere. Let's wrap this up. New Orleans Pelicans, Portland Trailblazers. A lot of injury news. Thank you guys for bearing with me on that one. Portland Trailblazers hosting the New Orleans Pelicans. Blazers on the second of a back-to-back. But the Pels here, if Joe Val sits, Larry Nance is already out of this one. So, that's significant. Josh Richardson's questionable. Jose Alvarado's out. The Pels could actually be another one of those teams that could shake things up quite considerably if some of these guys sit.
Yeah, absolutely. With Nance out, you expect more minutes from Joe Val. Granted, he only played 23 last game, but like you said, he is questionable. So if Joe Val is in, I like him again at 6,500. I liked him a lot last slate. It burned me, obviously. Did have a little bit of foul trouble as well, but also just shitty rotations for him. They closed with Jackson Hayes. But on average, he's played about 28 minutes per game without Larry Nance this year. So I like going to Joe Val here if he's in. If he's out, whoever's starting at center is going to be a good value, and the backup's also going to be a good value. Jackson Hayes got the backup minutes last game. He's 3K flat, power forward and center eligible. So if he were to start in place of Joe Val, he's just going to be a great value, especially because you can play him at power forward. If Hernan Gomez started, he's 3,800. He'd be one of the best values on the slate. He's about a 1.25 fantasy point per minute guy. But if Joe Val's out, you assume that you're getting 48 minutes combined from those two anyway. So if Hayes starts, he's going to be really popular and a good play, but Hernan Gomez is going to be a good play off the bench and vice versa. So if Joe Val's out, it certainly opens up value in the front court.
All right. And we'll pay attention. Deeper dive, live before lock, all that good stuff coming up. Let's wrap it with Portland here. Damian Lillard coming off a rough showing yesterday. And he's almost 12K now. He's 11-9 against the Pels today. Still pulling 23% ownership though.
Yeah, and I don't have any problem with it. He burned me yesterday, but nothing changes here. He's $11,900. That's a very expensive price tag, but he's the entire offense here with no Anthony Simons, with no Yusuf Nurkic. You've got like a 40% usage rate and a near 40% assist percentage. He's just fantastic, and he plays huge minutes. I don't really see any reason not to like Dame.
What about the rest of Portland, though?
The rest of Portland kind of sucks. Jeremy Grant in tournaments, I think, is kind of interesting, just given that there's nothing other than Dame getting in the way of Jeremy Grant playing a huge role offensively. Obviously, Dame is a huge block, though. He's, options 1, 2, and 3 offensively, basically. But with no Simons, with no Nurkic, you do know that the secondary scorer here is Jeremy Grant. So at low ownership, I think he's kind of interesting. Matisse Thybulle at 3,700 is just another, cheap value option that plays minutes, doesn't do a lot with those minutes, but decent point per dollar projection. And the way value looks right now, at least, opens some stuff up for you, but Dame the only priority for me.
What a weird slate right now.
Yeah, it really is.
It's so strange. Okay, just looking at ownership, right? The top 3 players projected of ownership, 45, 57, and 58% are all Lakers. Then you have Diallo. I think that comes down. Don't you think that comes down a little bit throughout the day?
Yeah, I have no idea why Diallo is projected to be that popular.
Terry Rozier with LaMelo out. Okay, makes sense. Then Dort with SGA out. Tari Eason. Then Giddey, another OKC player. Lillard, another Detroit player. Another OKC player. Ja. So, there are plays mixed in throughout this, but there's 3 teams among all of the guys with double-digit ownership that are basically occupying all of that space. So, going to be an interesting slate. Interested to see what you have to say on the deeper dive. Are you with Alex today, I think? Is it Alex?
I have no idea.
I think it probably is. I'm going to watch to get some more game theory on something like this if nothing changes, because it's going to get really weird.
It's Josh. You don't need to bother watching.
Oh, okay. No, I'll check out. But I will be watching the Odd Shop. Not on it today. Got to grab my daughter, who turns 2 tomorrow, dude. Time flies.
Holy shit.
Isn't that crazy, man? Feels like just yesterday that my life was over. No, I'm kidding. Love her to death. But hey, you guys are the best. Remember, 50% off every subscription. Any subscription you want, 50% off, link in the description. Free month with Prize Picks, $100 deposit bonus as well in the description. And Manscaped, baby, let's go. 20% off. 20% off, free shipping, promo code Stokastic. Trim your balls up. Have your wife go, wait, I didn't think those things grew at 35 years old. You're going to say, well, I got something for you. And, 5 weeks later, you can make magic happen again. Appreciate you guys, though. Follow Adam at Ship My Money DFS. Me at Laffy_D. Shout out to Jacob. Awesome work on the technical difficulty thing, man. Perfect timing. I was worried about that. We'll see you guys back here soon. Peace.